Earlier this week, I posted a poll on my community page asking you all who you think the most iconic classic slasher is. The post was also made on my Instagram, which if you don't follow me on there, and the numbers don't lie, you should definitely do that. You can find the link to my Instagram and all of my other platforms via my link tree listed in the description below, but back to the topic at hand. The results have come in, and I unfortunately have to give the win to Mr. Ghostface, but let's be honest, Ghostface wouldn't even exist without the true winner and the king of Halloween, Michael Myers. As I said on my Instagram, Michael is the king, and Ghostface is his jester. Say what you will, but Michael is the man, the myth, the legend. He is the moment. So you might be wondering, why did I even post this? Well, it was mostly to get some engagement since my last video flopped harder than Fish on Deck. If you haven't seen the video, I highly suggest you go give it a watch. It's pretty fire. But today we are going to discuss ultimately who the most iconic classic slasher is. I hope people can understand my sarcasm because I get mega monotone when I record. Anyways, before I get into the main part of this video, I want to preface with what I will be drawing today. I wanted to make this series that I came up with over the summer where I draw the 4 classic slashers in like Ring doorbell kind of things. Kind of like they're coming to see you on Halloween or something silly like that, I don't know. Some of them did not turn out as I imagined, but I like them all nonetheless, and I will be offering these as prints over on my Ko-Fi, so go check that out with the link in the corner of the screen right now. I also take commissions through Ko-Fi, but you can also DM me on Instagram and follow the same process, but I don't have to pay a percentage to Ko-Fi when we go through Instagram. Whatever works best for the client, I'm just here to serve. Moving on from that, let's get into who the most iconic classic slasher is. The 4 options stay the same, that being Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Ghostface. According to my coworkers, apparently y'all don't know who Ghostface is and only know the masked killer as the Scream Killer, which if that's true, you just didn't watch the first movie at all because girl literally says his name and it was a trending TikTok audio. So you can't plead ignorance, you can only plead brain dead. Anyways, all that to say, the dude's name is Ghostface, and I'm using dude in a general term. Don't start sizzling in the comments about girl killers because I actually don't care, and I don't even like the girl ones. Woof, I cannot stay on topic. Okay, let's actually lock in before I get distracted again. Each of these films came out basically one after another, starting with Halloween being released in 1978, starring Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode and Tony Moran as Michael Myers, who would later be replaced by Nick Castle in Halloween 2018, and so on. R.I.P. Corey Cunningham, you would have been the perfect successor. Halloween was the first of many, 13 to be exact, including the Rob Zombie films, and this franchise sets the ball rolling for the idea of the iconic slasher in full force. The film itself even spawned the rest of our 3 candidates, some being more obvious than others. To give a quick rundown of the Michael character and a bit of the story, Michael Myers had completed his first kill as a young boy on Halloween night when his older sister Judith refused to take him trick-or-treating in exchange to mess around with her boyfriend. Michael seemingly flips like a switch and takes her out, quickly being sent to the Smith Grove Sanitarium, where he would later escape at the ripe age of 21 years old.
Crush me! What? I'm sorry!
Somehow the dude knows how to drive and stalks our Scream Queen Laurie Strode for no real reason in particular. We get iconic scenes of Michael standing and staring, seemingly disappearing into thin air the moment you take a second glance, and we get the iconic music that I can't play at the risk of getting struck down by the boys upstairs that also hide my videos from my average viewers. I'm not salty at all. We are introduced to a few side characters, one of which being somewhat of a main character named Dr. Loomis, who was Michael's psychiatrist, and he believed that Michael was completely irredeemable and purely evil. So when Michael escapes, Loomis aims to retrieve him, dead or alive. Maybe that wasn't his initial goal, but spoilers, this movie is 46 years old. Loomis shoots Michael 6 times in the chest and he falls off a balcony, which can only mean he intended to kill him. But alas, he fails as Michael once again disappears without a trace. Except according to Halloween Kills, he gets caught not even 5 seconds later. Poor guy. Michael doesn't get that much of an explanation in his first film, and that is one of the driving factors behind what makes him so frightening. He kills just because, and he virtually can do anything and never seems to stop. This is due to an entity called the Shape, a dark demonic force that inhabits Michael and virtually gives him his power and rage. The Shape briefly gets explored in 2018, but the topic seems to drop off after that, which is really unfortunate because you can do some really cool stuff with this concept. Also, it's listed in the soundtrack of 2018 stating the Shape haunts Allison, who is Laurie's granddaughter in the later films, but notice how it doesn't address Michael as the hunter. Anyways, to make a long story short, with the following films, the story tried to make Laurie and Michael siblings, went on a short detour for film 3, which I analyze and talk about in this video up in the corner, go watch it right now, and then goes into a weird world of family connections, cloning, probable in, and at some point Busta Rhymes shows up, and I'm not even joking. The films concluded in 2002 with Halloween Resurrection, although the franchise would die shortly after that, only to be somewhat revived by Rob Zombie in 2007. Then Halloween returned in 2018 with a banger sequel to the 1978 film and virtually fixed the story, claiming that the sibling thing was just a theory.
A game theory.
Well, I guess I can say film theory, but it's not as funny. Anyways, Michael and Laurie are no longer siblings and never were in the story. Laurie is simply the only prey Michael failed to catch, and he escaped once more to hunt her down. I won't go into more, all I have to say is watch these films, they're great. The 1981 sequel and so on are just fun to watch, but mostly terrible and not canon. If you want to follow the story, you start with 1978, go to 2018, then Halloween Kills, and finish with Halloween Ends. So what makes Michael so iconic? Well, he started the idea of an infamous mass slasher with inhuman powers. He never speaks, he stalks incredibly well, his attire is instantly recognizable, and his films have fantastic and iconic tracks. He also spares young children in the canon series up until Halloween Kills or Ends, I can't remember, but he only went after teens and adults until those 3 brats showed up in the later films. Also, he has a sense of humor. There's a very particular scene I'm thinking of when I say that, and it's in Halloween Kills. It's pretty funny and morbid at the same time, but for my sake of clarity, let me explain. There is a homosexual couple living in his childhood house referred to as Big John and Little John. Michael kills them because, you know, they're in his house and he's territorial. God, we have so much in common. Anyways, we get a quick shot after the kills are complete where Michael has posed the Johns like one of their photos together, but like, you know, they're dead. It's really funny to me because it's so ridiculous and, dare I say, random, but it's great. So Michael is a solid 10 out of 10, and I've rambled too long about him now, so let's move on. If you're still watching this video, great! That means you're enjoying the video or you've totally tuned out. Either way, this is the part where I ask you to leave a like on this video, leave a comment, subscribe, and share the video. I also have a link tree in the description to my other platforms if you're interested in seeing other art, shorts, and more. I have a Patreon linked for the fans of the channel who want to get early content, voting supremacy on polls, free merch, and a name drop at the end of every video so long as you're a member. So check it out. I'll let you get back to the video after I finish with this. I have open commissions via Ko-Fi and Instagram. My pricing is the same everywhere, but if you prefer one platform over the other, you have the option to choose. Okay, now that the plug is over, let's get back to the video. In 1984, we were given the first of the vulgar slashers, and one that didn't exist on our plane. Behold, Freddy Krueger. While Michael may be iconic as a slasher, Freddy is iconic as a diva. Art the Clown has some competition with this one. Like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street got a slew of sequels and even got a god-awful remake in 2010 that turned him into a PDF file, getting revenge on the people who just wanted justice rather than just being a slimy teen slasher living in the dreamscape. Anyways, Freddy is a dream demon who can really only be defeated by being in the real world, so if you die in your dream, you die in real life. Anyways, the sequels muddy the story so bad that I can't even explain what exactly happens, but I can tell you this. Everyone knows this glove, this sweater, and you definitely know this face whether you know his name or not. The character is very iconic, having featured in a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song and so much more. He may not be as iconic as Michael, but he holds his place as one of the greats, and Robert Englund is still going strong with different characters, one of which was in Stranger Things 4. Freddy even got the pleasure of fighting our next candidate, who conveniently got the first installment of his franchise just a year after Freddy. That candidate? Jason Voorhees. The film released in 1985, and funnily enough, we don't even see Jason as he is shown until the second film. If you don't know, the first Friday the 13th features Pamela Voorhees, camp owner and mother of Jason. She's the first killer, hearing her dead son in her head as she takes revenge on the camp counselors as they were the reason Jason drowned in Crystal Lake. Pamela does end up dying at the end, having her head cut off by the main girl that I conveniently forgot the name of and couldn't be bothered to look up right now. This, I guess, summons Jason from the dead because the girl later gets pulled into the lake by Jason's corpse, but it was just a dream or something like that. Regardless, In the next film, Jason is alive or undead? It's not really clear to me what his deal is, but he carries on Pam's tasks, killing the counselors when they come to Camp Crystal Lake, and then so on with the story. Friday the 13th has a huge problem that does damage the reputation of Jason as an icon. His films have virtually no story, or at least not a clear one. I haven't watched all of these, but just knowing that the dude goes to space, hell, and Manhattan, I don't know, something about this just speaks campy sellout. But that doesn't mean that Jason is not iconic himself. The character is very recognizable, being known for his famous hockey mask and machete. The dude is much like Michael in how he never speaks, but unlike Michael, this guy runs and is obeying his mother's voice in his head rather than being possessed by something like the Shape. Also, I'm pretty sure he's never been put in an asylum, so Jason is iconic in his own way. He gets almost as much fan art as Michael does, and he is popular as a Halloween costume, but does he compare to our final candidate? That is the question. 1996 spawned the 7-film installment series that inspired many parodies, fan content, recreations, and so much more. But most notably, it started a cult following for the franchise Scream. The first film was genius for what it was doing, a killer inspired by the classic slashers we talked about in this video that is so fascinated by the films that they make it a reality while the film simultaneously criticizes and satirizes classic horror tropes. The film was really the first of its kind to parody itself while also taking itself seriously. It was unheard of. But that was the 90s for you. One aspect of Ghostface that is worth pointing out, and that immediately differs him from the other three, is that Ghostface is never consistently one person. The mask passes on to many candidates, but the best ones, in my opinion, were Stu and Billy. The idea of this character is to be mysterious, slick, fast, and brutal. The goal of Ghostface is to manipulate and reveal the twisted plan before finishing the job. Ghostface is very different from our previous killers because he really likes to show off, and that is ultimately his weakness. Being a prideful killer almost makes him stupid, revealing the secret too early, underestimating their opponent, and cutting corners. But that doesn't make this mask any less recognizable, and for some reason, everyone's favorite costume. I won't lie, I have one of these too, and it's the highest quality costume piece I have aside from my Michael mask. Aside from that, while the killer may change, the spirit of Ghostface stays the same until the end when the killer is revealed. Personally, I like the idea of not revealing who was under the mask. It kind of ruins the fear factor for me. And that's why I love Michael so much, because we never really see his face unless you catch that one split second of Tony Moran putting the mask back on after Laurie manages to rip it off of him. I don't know how to explain it, but I think Ghostface is better off just being, like I said before, a spirit. And films become so repetitive and formulaic that maybe not revealing the killer for once would turn the franchise in a more intriguing direction. I'm not sure, I'm kind of just rambling here, but anyways, Ghostface is iconic for many reasons, that being recognizability, recent films, marketability, killer style, and what I think drives the whole thing, relatability. You see, unlike these previous films, Scream makes an effort to relate to the younger audience. I'm not sure why Scream is so appealing to younger people, but it's like college kids and young teens obsess over this killer, and I think it's because the killer is sassy, sarcastic, and witty, much like the supporting characters and the target audience. This film can be used in TikTok audios for your local it girl to use with her mini martini costume that's just a pleather wraparound that she calls a dress, but hey, if you want to waste Halloween on that, be my guest. More real fun for me. Pushing past that, the film appeals to a broad audience, that being young people who have money to splurge and plenty of time to spare. Also, our gore geeks get a kick out of this one because of the light version of Terrifier that these are. Not to say that our other killers aren't brutal, but Scream likes to focus more on spaghetti effects rather than anything else. That being said, let's review the focus of each franchise. Halloween. The focus is story-based, family trauma, and true fear. Nightmare on Elm Street is dark humor and surrealistic visuals. Friday the 13th, big masked guy kills naked women. Scream, gore, blood, unique kills, god-awful story twist that you can see from a mile away. Sorry to all my Friday fans, if you actually like Jason, that's cool, but you can never convince me you watch these movies for the plot because it's literally just, well, you know. So now that I've officially gone on for too long, let's pick our king of Halloween. We can go ahead and rule out Freddy. While he is iconic in my heart, unfortunately Freddy does not strike my dear viewers as worthy for the crown. Maybe another time, Fred. But next, we can eliminate Jason. While visually iconic, there's no bones to his franchise, he simply exists as eye candy. Another brooding, silent killer with no true story to follow. So that leaves us with our two candidates. Who will the crown go to? Ghostface or Michael Myers? Find out next time on I'm just kidding. I'll keep it a buck with you all. You can't beat out the one who started it all. Michael walked, literally, so everyone else could run. The crown goes to Michael Myers, and Ghostface can be his little jester fangirl. Is this vote biased? Maybe a little, but if we're being honest, the two tie frequently in this debate. They are also polar opposites in every way except for being a killer, but Ghostface is not consistent enough, and the films somewhat grasp at straws when you keep bringing back old things to make family ties just so the reasoning of an obsessed fan killer exists in the first place. That's what makes Michael better. He doesn't need an explanation or a reason, he just does, and that's what makes him so iconic. Ghostface, while iconic and scary in his own way, needs a reason in order to exist. Without a freaky fan under that mask, there is no Ghostface. The moment the bloodline to Billy, Stu, Sidney, and Gale ends, there is no more Ghostface. Michael, on the other hand, has a more recognizable track and true consistency in his inconsistency. Once he kills Laurie, he just moves on to the next person, but we never actually get to see him achieve this. All that to say, Michael is the best, and nobody can ever replace him. Roll the outro!